Hello, everyone. Today I'll be going over how to create wealth with budgeting. As of recent 11/26/2023, a new article from CNN came out that Americans are carrying more debt than ever. This was actually reported from the New York Federal Reserve, outlining that non-housing loans have more than doubled since 2003, totaling roughly $4.8 trillion. Like I said, according to the New York Federal Reserve, more than 500 billion of that debt accumulated just in the past 2 years. So I felt like now was a more appropriate time than ever to go over how to appropriately budget to set yourself up for future success. So in this video, I'm going to be going over two different methods of budgeting as well as how to invest the savings that you will accrue utilizing these budgeting methods. And hint, hint, it's not real estate. Alrighty, before I go ahead and get started, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button as well as subscribe, and don't forget to drop a comment on future videos that you might like to see. Once you hit that like button, I'll go ahead and get started. Just go ahead and hit it. All right, so getting started, the Dave Ramsey $0 method. This is going to be the budgeting method number one. The $0 method assigns every dollar you earn to a specific purpose, so you have $0 at the end of the month. So, for example, you have money allocated towards rent, utilities, car, insurance, food, savings, as well as gas. Now, if you heard correctly there's an allocation for savings specifically, so that way it's taken away automatically every single month and put into a specific account elsewhere. So for numbers sake, say you make $4,000 a month, $1,750 of that goes towards rent, $300 towards utilities, $300 towards the car, $250 towards insurance, $400 towards food, $600 towards savings, and $400 towards gas. So this doesn't mean that you can spend your money frivolously, but it just means that every dollar is allocated before it's even earned. Now, what happens if you're upside down and can't get to zero because your expenses exceed your income? Then you need to cut back on your expenses while working additional hours to get back to zero. This is extremely important because if you continue on this upside down route, you're just going to go farther into debt, just like that stat that I showed of Americans. Now, a strategy that you'd be able to utilize is taking all the numbers in the flexible spending categories and breaking it down into a weekly and then daily number. So an example of this would be you have flexible spending categories in gas, as well as utilities and food. Those are all variable, they'll fluctuate. You take those, and the numbers that I specifically referenced for those were $400 for gas, $400 for food, and $300 for utilities. You take those and you break it down into a weekly number of $248, which equates to $35 a day. That means you have $35 a day, almost like a wallet that you can go ahead and spend on those three categories. Now, you can apply this strategy amongst other categories as well, but this is just a specific example. Now, another method that you'd be able to utilize, which is method number two for budgeting, would be the 50-30-20 rule. Now, what this is you have 50% allocated towards needs, 30% towards wants, and 20% towards savings and investing. So, breaking the 50-30-20% method down further would be 50% would be for needs once again. So this is absolute necessities. These are the line items in your statement that you can't live without. So some examples of this would be your groceries, your mortgage, your food, your transportation, your utilities. These all are examples of necessities that you can't live without. Your hot water, your sewer, whatever it may be. A good way to go about it would be, once again, look at your monthly statements and decide, is this something I need to live? If not, then it falls into the second category, which would be the want category. This will make up about 30% of your income and is more boiled towards the discretionary portion. Now, these are the line items in your statements that you don't absolutely need in order to live. So some examples of this would be eating out, golfing, traveling, shopping, subscriptions, restaurants. Once again, Just to name a few. These are the things you don't need to absolutely live, and you can do without. The third and final is the 20% category of investing and savings. This is the one where you'll stack away money every single month towards retirement, investing in mutual funds, real estate, stocks, bonds, high yield savings, and there could be a variety of others, but this is just to name a few. Now that you have a good idea as far as how to budget your money utilizing these two separate methods, what happens if you come to the end of the month and you have a surplus in your account, which is best case scenario? You take that money and you put that into the savings and investing category. Now, this could bring you up over 20%, which is perfect. That's getting you to your retirement goals even faster. So now begs the question, how are you going to be able to create wealth and retire early utilizing these budgeting methods? Well, the quick and easy answer is to increase your income, decrease your expenses, invest the difference, and increase your savings rate over 20%. But in order to build wealth and retire early, it really depends on a few different factors, such as how much do you need and when will you need it by? Now, for example, if you are 20 years old and you need $1 million in order to retire and you want to retire by the age of 45, then you really need to break it down into a yearly goal. It all breaks down to numbers at the end of the day. So, in order to retire in 25 years, you would need to save $12,700 a year, averaging an 8% return. So, this breaks down to $1,058 a month, $246 a week, which is $35 a day. $35 a day to have $1 million in 25 years. This is adhering to the 20% rule. So, excuse me, if you're adhering to the 20% rule, this means that you would have to make $5,290 a month to be able to stack away that $1,058 in savings and investing, getting an 8% return to to have $1 million to retire on in 25 years. The big question that I'm sure you all came and are waiting for is how do you create wealth and retire early utilizing these two budgeting methods? Well, the quick and easy answer is increase your income, decrease your expenses, invest the difference so that way you're saving over 20% each and every month. But in order to build wealth and retire early, it really depends on how much you need and when you need it by, which I know is the boring answer, but let me elaborate. So, for example, if you're 20 years old and you want $1 million to retire, and you want to retire at 45, order to retire in 25 years, you need to save $12,700 a year at an average return of 8% every single year, compounded. So that breaks down to $1,058 a month, which is $246 a week, which is $35 a day. $35 a day saved away at 8% per year will get you $1 million in 25 years. So if you start at 20, you'll be able to retire at 45 if you only need $1 million to retire. So you can significantly decrease the amount by increasing the rate of return, decreasing the amount of time it takes to get that $1 million by increasing the rate of return via compound interest. So if you make 10% on your money, then you really only need to save $9,300 a year, which is $775 a month, which is $180 a week, which is only $25 a day. So at only $25 a day over a extended period of time, 25-year period, you need to make 10% return on your money, only saving $9,300 a year. At the end of the day, it really just boils down to a math problem. How much money do you need to retire and how much time do you want to retire in? Okay. And this is all utilizing compound interest. So this isn't financial advice, but for example, by simply investing into an S&P 500 fund, whatever it may be, that produces an average rate of return of 10.53% per year over the last 100 years. That's the average return every single year over the last 100 years for the S&P 500, that which is an adjusted amount for inflation of 7 to 8% return every year. So this would be for the first example of 8% per year, 25 years, $1 million. you need to save $1,058 a month. All you have to do is start now. Sounds simple, but think about how many people create New Year's resolutions to go to the gym, get in shape for the new year, they sign up for the gym membership, and then they never go. Or they go and then stop in February. In fact, 80% of Americans do exactly that. They sign up for something, they get specifically the gym, and then they quit by February. Are you going to be that way with your financial goals? Or are you going to take the bull by the horns, start now, start investing, start saving, start budgeting, so that way you can retire at the age of 45 if you're 20 years old? Now, I do have a bonus tip for you, which is paying yourself first. This is a Robert Kiyosaki tip from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So most people, what they'll do is they'll pay all their expenses, whatever's left over, they'll put in their pocket, and that's their savings. Well, what Robert Kiyosaki recommends is to flip this completely on its head. Pay yourself first, and then utilize the rest of your money to go ahead and pay for your expenses. So if you think about it, it helps you dial in your focus so that way you have enough money to pay for your expenses, because those come first over paying you in our minds. And it allows you to get towards your financial goals even faster because you're paying yourself first. You're putting your money away first. You're putting away that $1,058 a month first and foremost, and then you have the rest to put away for expenses. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Drop a comment of something else that you might want to look at or you might want me to go over. And also, if you're local to the New Hampshire area, shoot me an email at porter, portercap01@gmail.com, and I'll be able to help you out with getting into a real estate deal of your own. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.